Now everyone, it's time to spread a bit of movie cheer.
Movies, pretty movies. Welcome to the Movie Cheer podcast, the show for movie fans. Halloween special 2025. I am your host, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer. And today, on the Halloween special, we will be exploring the movie Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Oh yes. But before we get to today's headline topic, I, the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, must take the elixir for my podcast voice. So let's go for it. Yes, yeah, the elixir. There we go. We got the normal voice. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the Halloween special. As I said, 2025. I am the Ghoulish Mean Cheer, your host for this Halloween special, taken over from Mr. Movie Cheer. So, that is today's headline topic. As always, we will be exploring this Halloween that movie I mentioned, Abraham Lincoln, the Vampire Hunter, going deep diving into the physical release on Blu-ray, talking about the movie as a whole, and we've got a whole host of other things going on today's Halloween special podcast. So let's get to it. Let's get to the headline topic.
The Movie Cheer podcast presents the headline topic for the episode.
Remember to spread a bit of
headline topic. Headline topic.
Remember to spread a bit of movie cheer.
So today's Halloween special headline topic, I'm going to be deep diving in on this movie here, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter. Let's go for this. Let's just deep dive in to this. I will say this is, before I get to it, this is a movie I have watched for the very first time this month. It was a first time watch. I watched it over 31 Days of Horror. I watched it. Mr. Movie Cheer also watched it. Both of us can agree it is a very enjoyable watch. And I decided then, I watched it on streaming on Disney Plus, but then I decided to pick up the Blu-ray release because I really did enjoy this movie. So I thought, let's pick up the Blu-ray and get this on physical. So let's get to it first of all. I want to talk about the disc features. What's involved with this disc? What have we got going on here? So, fairly standard Blu-ray. Get your Blu-ray, just one disc, Blu-ray disc. But the features on this are really exciting, if I'm being honest, for any movie fan out there like myself. I think you'd really appreciate the features on this. So I was looking at it last night, and I've not watched it all, but I've been looking at it. So first of all, it's got something called The Great Calamity, was a chilling, exclusive graphic novel from Abraham Lincoln's journal, The Untold Story of the Vampires in America, as revealed by Edgar Allan Poe. And this is basically, so just to clarify, this movie is based on a book that was, I think it was released the same year. This is a graphic novel, sort of like 7-minute cartoon, basically. I've not watched it all, but it reminds me of it's similar to, the Star Wars Rebels sort of shows, maybe a bit less, stylized as that, but a bit similar to that sort of effect animation style. But the real feast here, the real special part of the disc in regards to the features is this documentary, which is an hour and 15 minutes, and it's broken up. But I love the fact that they've done it as a full-on documentary on this disc. So it features a visual feast by the director Timur Bekov's visual style, dark secrets booked to screen, vampire hunting fight choreography, behind the scenes vanquishing vampires, the art of transformation, makeup effects. And then you've got an audio commentary that's separate with writer Seth Graham Smith. But what I will say, these features, it reminds me of something off the Lord of the Rings DVDs, this, where you've got a real look behind the scenes. And I was looking, I watched parts of it, I didn't watch it all in full, and I think it's going to be something where this week I'm going to explore that full an hour and 15 minutes, because I think if you're a movie fan and you love to see the behind the scenes, you love to see, the costumes, the way they film stuff, the way a director. I was watching a little bit last night, and it showed the director, and I think he was talking to the director of photography, and he said sometimes the director doesn't necessarily communicate verbally, but what he does is he's like good at like sketching stuff, and he has like these little sketching books, and he just sketches out what you want a scene to look like, and he just shows it visually, and you get to see all this stuff, and you get to see the makeup going on the characters, filming of certain scenes. I think it is very interesting, that personally. As a movie fan, I love stuff like that. It really whets the appetite for me personally. I love that, and I love the fact it's like I really wasn't expecting that much in regards to features on this particular movie. I thought maybe we might get like 20 minutes of extra material, but I think for the value, you get a lot of value in this particular Blu-ray disc, which is really exciting and really cool to see. Let's see. How does the Blu-ray release first? So, like I said, it's a decent release. Visually, it's a stunning looking movie. It's you got Tim Burton as a producer, and it's got Tim Burton all over it. And I will talk a bit more about the aesthetic in a bit, but visually, great looking movie. The Blu-ray looks really nice. Combines, there's obviously a lot of special effects. I think they definitely do some practical in there. I'd be interested to see how much of it is practical, how much of it is then computer generated. But it looks amazing. I think it looks a really good release. We've not had a 4K yet of this. Could it happen down the line? I don't know. I feel like with that connection to Tim Burton, potentially that could be a reason why maybe further down the line on an anniversary release from somewhat like from an independent label like an 88 Films or maybe Arrow, someone like that. Maybe we get an anniversary edition further down the line of this movie. I think it was 2012 it was released, so we're 2025 now. Maybe 2032 we might get a release, a 20th anniversary release. But yeah, I'd be interested to see a 4K, but I'm more than happy with the Blu-ray for now for this movie. I think the Blu-ray is ample for now. I think it's great for fans of this movie. What I will say, the release, we will get to this on a bit later on in Case Cover Collision, where we look at the different artwork. There's not much variation, if I'm being honest, with the artwork, and the artwork here, it's decent. It's not nothing spectacular, but there wasn't that many releases of this movie anyway, so we didn't get many variants in regards to the cover artwork with this. Which is a bit disappointing, because I love artwork on movies, and it's always cool to see different variations, different country releases, and to see what they do with different packaging. So that wasn't like super exciting to see. I was a bit disappointed by that, but hey ho, we got a release. That's that's the main thing, isn't it? We can't grumble too much. But let's talk about the plot of the movie. Let's talk about the plot of this movie that is a feast for Halloween and October film watching. So first of all, this is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. It is obviously based on the real character, but he didn't do vampire hunting, or did he? Maybe he did. We don't know for sure. But yeah, it shows the stories that a young Abraham Lincoln sees his mother die after getting a vampire bite. And I won't get too deep into spoilers here, but years later, he then seeks revenge, but discovers it was a vampire who killed his mother. And then basically he goes to kill this vampire. He's then saved from a vampire attack. He's about to kill Abraham Lincoln. He's saved by this vampire hunter who trains him. Abraham Lincoln, asks him to train him, to be a vampire hunter assassin, and he trains in this guy. And basically then we see this story of then Abraham Lincoln then transitioning into this new town where he's moving to, where he's got to, he gets like a list of different vampires he's got to assassinate. And it's really cool, it's a really good story. But then you bounce in that with the years going on and him having this budding political career, moving from being like a lawyer to being a politician. And it's really a good story. And you see this young Abraham Lincoln. I think everyone thinks of Abraham Lincoln, and you think of the hat, the beard, and you don't really get that here in the majority of the movie. You do get that further down the end part, the final part of the movie, but you get this like long-haired guy who, a young Abraham Lincoln, which is very, very cool to see, really exciting. So that's kind of like the premise of the story without giving any spoilers, and then we see the vampires, and Lincoln come to a collision at some point. But let's talk about now the movie aesthetic and the vibe. And I kind of got onto this at the beginning of this episode, but it's produced by Tim Burton, this movie, so it's got his fingerprints all over this, in my opinion, in regards to the style, the vibe, the aesthetic. It really does feel like it was set in the same universe as Sleepy Hollow at times, this movie. It's just got that the environment, it's really like there's like an echo to the land. What does that mean? I just said an echo to the land. What does that mean, Mean Cheer? Well, I think it just means nothing, because I'm just sprouting nonsense. No, I think what I mean is that it's very stylistic. It's very, there is a lot more scene. Whereas I think like Sleepy Hollow, there's a lot more dark scenes. There's dark scenes in this, but there's a lot of daylight stuff going on as well. But I think it's just like the tone of the movie, it feels very atmospheric. I think that's the word I was kind of looking for, but I just went down a road where I didn't know where I was going. Very atmospheric, very much like Sleepy Hollow. And I love Sleepy Hollow. I think it is a fantastic movie. And it's really got that feel to it as well. Definitely got that gothic feel as well, that gothic film feel. Another movie I was thinking of the other day, I was sitting there in Mean Cheer Tower on my throne, and I was thinking, what movie does this remind me of? And it really had a feel as well of Van Helsing, the Hugh Jackman movie, which I really, again, another movie I really do enjoy. I think that's a cracking movie, that. Absolutely solid movie. Another one that reminds me of. But yeah, two great movies. And the aesthetic, like I said, Tim Burton, it's got his fingerprints all over this movie as a producer. The cast of the movie. Let's get into the cast. So we've got not an actor I'm aware of, but Benjamin Walker plays Abraham Lincoln. And I will say this guy reminds me of a young Liam Neeson. Bear in mind, this is 2012. It was released. So he plays Abraham. You've got Dominic Cooper as his sort of vampire hunting mentor. Henry Sturgis, Anthony Mackie, Captain America. Sam Wilson, he plays Will Johnson, Lincoln's friend here. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she plays Lincoln's wife in this. Rufus Sewell, he is one of the vampires. A lot of people would know him from Dark City. And you've actually got Alan Tudyk. He's in this in a smaller role. He's in this movie as well. So a really solid cast. I think Benjamin Walker, this guy who plays Lincoln, he really plays the role well. Really gets into that character, especially when you see him in the later years. You really feel that character shining through for sure. Best moments in the movie. Let's talk about some of the best moments for me personally. I would say the scene where it's like a horse chase scene between Lincoln and this vampire. And it's all like, digital effects with these horses, and they're jumping from horse to horse, and it's just a chaotic scene. But it's just really cool and exciting. It's really entertaining. I really enjoy that. And there was another great scene at the end of the movie. The end sort of final battle on this train that's exploding between Lincoln and the vampires, and it's just again, absolute chaos of a scene. Tons of things going on, but incredibly epic. And I would love to see that on the behind the scenes, how they shot that, how how much of it was practical, special effects. They were both really exciting scenes for me on this movie. But you know what? It's Halloween. What makes a good Halloween movie, and what makes this movie specifically a good Halloween movie. I think a good Halloween movie example for me is something like Hocus Pocus. I think it just really defines what Halloween is. It's just a really solid one for Halloween. Beetlejuice is another one for me, another great Halloween movie. I think it's the setting, the tone. I think this is one you can really do enjoy all the year long. But I think on Halloween, it's one I'm just going to save for October now and watch it over October. Kind of like a Sleepy Hollow where I'll watch it now October only. I think with the vampires, the look of the movie, like I said, the stylized look, the atmosphere, it's entertaining, and it's a really weird concept. You know, you've got Abraham Lincoln, this real life figure, and he is they changed the alternative reality where he is a vampire hunter. It's a bit weird, a weird, crazy concept, but it really does work for me in this film. So I think it's a cracking vampire movie. I think it's a cracking movie to watch over Halloween as well, folks. But one final thing I want to get to is, we've got Abraham Lincoln here, a real life person in this vampire movie concept. What other characters could we do the same treatment for? Now, I thought about this, and I thought a few different characters, a few more like real life people, who I think I would love to see a similar concept. So the first one is rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. But I would love to see someone playing Ozzy Osbourne. I don't know who you get, but like in 1983, back at the Moon era, and him secretly being a vampire killer. I think that would be really cool. I don't know who you get to play Ozzy. I think you'd have to get someone really charismatic to play that role, but I think that would be cool. Secret rock star, and then, secret life as a vampire hunter. Next one, Elvis. Between 1969 and 1975, Elvis had a residency in Las Vegas. If you watch the Elvis movie, you'll see why this was the case. He had this residency, but imagine it, Elvis, his music, combined with the Las Vegas setting, and him secretly, in the last years of his life, becoming a vampire hunter, killing the last Las Vegas vampires secretly through the night after his concerts. That'd be awesome. One for current times, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Hell yeah! What? Versus Stone Cold Steve Austin versus vampires. Present day Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's on his ranch, and then he finds out there's a vampire attack in his local town. He decides to get out there, start, cracking open a few cans, smashing over the heads of the vampires, doing a few stunners there and there, giving a hell yeah to all these vampires. I think it'd be cool. Austin still looks the part. I think it'd be ace. He does films as well. I'd be game for that. So they're my picks, guys, for three real life people I'd like to see given this similar treatment for the movie treatment, similar to the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this movie, folks. That's it for today's headline topic. Let's move to the next segment of today's show.
Case covers take on other case covers. Can you handle that?
Case cover collision. Case cover collision.
Case cover collision. Each and every episode, I look at the different case covers for a movie and put them up against each other to choose which one is the best and which one is the winner of case cover collision. Now, on this episode, we are looking at the movie Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. So I've got 3 case covers to look at. The standard DVD and Blu-ray cover. We've got also the Blu-ray 3D release, and then we've got a limited edition steelbook as well. So let's get to it, folks. And I'm going to start off here with the standard cover for the DVD and the Blu-ray. Now, this is the one I've got here. It's fairly simple artwork, but I think it's effective for what this movie does. At the top here, you've got Abraham Lincoln in this white small text, and then underneath you've got this red text for Vampire Hunter, and kind of like in this sort of blood-splattered text. And then you've got Abraham with his sort of axe, full body shot, looking towards the camera, just in mid-air, jumping, going to kill vampires. And in this background, you've just got this, this dark, there's clouds, there's fire, there's explosions. It looks like there's just everything, debris going around here. A lot of chaos going on, a lot of war. You see some flags in the background for the Civil War as well. Yeah, it's a chaotic cover, but you know what? I really do like the look of this, even though it is simple. It's nothing spectacular, but I think it works for this movie. It's a decent balance of colours. I think it works for a horror movie, which this is. It's perfect for this sort of movie. I think it's very, very common, I would say, for this sort of movie as well. So that's the standard DVD and Blu-ray. Let's go to the Blu-ray 3D cover now. So this is very different. I've talked about in the episode the atmosphere of Tim Burton. This feels like it's took the atmosphere from this movie and put it into a cover here. Now, whereas the other cover was the young Abraham Lincoln with the axe, now you've got him, old Abraham Lincoln, the hat. He's sitting on this chair in the forest. There's atmosphere. There's like these clouds, this mist around him. You've got the moon in the background. And he's holding his axe to the ground this time while he's sitting on the chair, holding his hat over his eyes. You don't even see his face here. It's like this silhouette here. In the background, then you've got, in a very different text, Abraham Lincoln in this black colour this time, a different text. And then Vampire Hunter again in a very different text, in a red, sort of a red and black sort of gradient. And then you've got the 3D under that as well. This is a very different cover, but I do really like this. Like I said, what I like about this, for me more, it gets the sense of the atmosphere you get from the movie here in this cover. Underneath that, you've got riveting, unlike anything you've ever seen. I can agree with that quote. I think it's a really good quote. I'm not too sure who did it, but it's a decent quote, guys. Above that, Tim Burton presents Timur Begmambetow's film. Yes. So this is the 3D release, guys. I really do like this. I like the sense of atmosphere. I think it is a solid release on this one. Finally, now let's go to the limited edition steelbook release of Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Now this one is very similar to the first cover I talked about this one. So this is the Blu-ray steelbook. Very similar, but also they went for a different sort of like format of where they're putting stuff, the arrangement. So you've got the same actual image of young Abraham Lincoln here with the axe. They went more for a closer up shot this time, so you don't see his full body. You see kind of more like the top half of his body. He's put more on a slant as well. You've got the moon directly behind, taking a bit from the second piece of artwork, and they've kind of enlarged it in the right hand corner. Behind him, you can see again a lot of debris, a midnight sky, explosions. In the bottom bit, there's like fire going on, and then underneath Abraham Lincoln, you've got the same text. Well, I think it actually looks slightly different. Abraham Lincoln, this white text. Tim Burton again presents the director's name of the film, Timur Begmambetov, and underneath that in a larger font, which I think it pops a bit more for me. This one. This is why the title in this one rather than the first one, even though it's similar, it pops a lot more because they made Vampire Hunter more of a presence there. They put it centre under Abraham Lincoln, and they made it larger. This red font again, where it looks like it's mixing in with blood that's splattered on the screen on the case cover. But it really works, and it really does pop for this movie for me. So they're the three covers, but which one has won? Which one is the winner of case cover collision? Only one can win, guys. I am going to have to go with... I think these are all three very comparable covers on the same sort of level, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Blu-ray 3D release. I love that. I like the old Abraham Lincoln look. I think it's Abraham Lincoln. You look at this, the first one, and it's kind of, you don't realise that's Abraham Lincoln. To me, you see that, it's Abraham Lincoln with an axe. He's a vampire hunter. It captures the atmosphere, what I love about this movie, the atmosphere, the feel, the aesthetic of the movie with the smoke in the background, the atmosphere, the mist, the midnight sky. I think it's a cracking cover, this. I really do think it's a solid cover. So for me, Abraham Lincoln, the Blu-ray 3D release is the winner of this episode's case cover collision. Now, let's move on to the final segment of today's show.
Ooh, what's been on the screen?
on the screen. What have I been watching recently? And more importantly, what have I been watching over October, ladies and gents? So, as I mentioned, I've done actually. Me and Mr. Movies here have both been doing the 31 Days of Horror Movie Challenge again this year, watching new movies, new horror movies, and movies I've watched before as well. And I'm going to start off with one I watched. It's a new watch, a fresh first-time watch for me, and it is 28 years later. I think this came out this year, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, this is the third movie in the 28 Days Later trilogy. I know they got another one coming as well. They're meant to be doing a new trilogy, so another 2 more movies apparently. But yeah, this is phenomenal. I thought it was the best one in the series so far by a massive, a mile. It was, and I've rewatched the other ones recently as well this month as well in order to watch this new one. But yeah, best by far, the brilliant third movie, best one in the series. I got Planet of the Apes vibes. Big fan of Planet of the Apes, the new ones, and the original movies as well, and the TV show. I was getting vibes of Planet of the Apes, so I'm not going to do any big spoilers until I say spoilers. You know what? I'll say spoilers ahead for this movie if you've not watched it. They call the infected. So spoilers ahead now, guys. They call now the infected. These zombies. They're called the infected. I think they call them that in the previous movies, but there's these 28 years later now, they've adapted the infected, and they've got like these ones called Alpha, which are like the super strong ones that are kind of like the leaders of all the ones that are not as impressive. And these are like, they look like, Lou Ferrigno, massive, like the Incredible Hulk, they look like Arnold. They look humongous and I wouldn't want to, find them in a dark alley because they rip me apart. But basically, the vibes I'm getting from Planet of the Apes is there was one particular scene where the main character, this young lad, and Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, the father, they're going out hunting for the first time. They're on this like little derelict island with this. They've got this little village there, and they go out into the mainland, go hunting for first kill of the infected, and then they find themselves in this field, and they start coming out from the top of this hill, and then you see this Alpha, and he sort of like gets them all to charge at them, and it reminded me of Planet of the Apes. It had that feel to Planet of the Apes at the times, and I really loved that, if I'm being honest. I thought it was really exciting, and really, as a fan of Planet of the Apes, I was getting like, oh, that's cool to see, that's exciting as a fan. I enjoyed the story. So basically the story is it's really about this young boy's son. Then his mother is sick, and they find out there's a doctor on the mainland. He then escapes with his mother to taking her to see if they can help her. And the story of this young man going out for the first time on his hunting in the mainland. He's only 12. So it's a really good story. I liked, again, the Alphas were really cool. I think the one scene was creepy. Talk about creepy scenes. The birth scene. So the mother goes in this train and she sees an infected, but they basically now they breed as well, the infected. So there's this infected pregnant woman, and she is giving birth, and the mother the mother who's ill helps the infected one give birth, and she gives birth to a normal baby, which is super creepy, super bizarre, and really weird. I don't. Let me know your thoughts on that scene. I was like, wow, this is. Has this stepped over a line? It didn't step over. I think it was really interesting. I think they found the line and they went over it a bit. I think it was exciting to do that because not many filmmakers will actually do that. So I thought that was really cool. The ending with the Jimmies. The beginning of the movie, you see this young man at the beginning of 28 Days Later. This young lad, Jimmy, and his parents are killed, and he escapes. He's from Scotland, and you see later in the movie, we see throughout the movie, them sacrificing these. You see these different infected with the words Jimmy wrote on them, like carved into the body. And at the end of the movie, we see this clan of the Jimmies, led by the now grown-up man, Jimmy, played by Jack O'Connell, who was in Skins as Cook. And he was more recently in the Sinners movie as well as the vampire in that film. Spoilers if you never watched that. But yeah, I loved it. I thought I've read stuff online saying it's a tonal clash. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie. I thought it was I thought it was just really bizarre. I like weird stuff, so it was weird. I think it had the Teletubbies song playing in the background where they're doing all like these Power Rangers moves, killing zombies, helping this young lad. And then he sort of introduces himself to this young kid while he's sort of escaped the world and going on his own. And that leads obviously into the next movie now, which is exciting to it's got that build up. But yeah, that's what I've been watching in regards to 28 Years Later. Great film. If you've not watched it yet, definitely check it out. And I think you could watch it on its own, but you can appreciate it more with the other films. But it's not really one where you have to watch the original two movie. I didn't feel like anyway, because it fills in a lot of them gaps for you watching this film. Finally, I just want to get on to one more movie I watched, and it was Blair Witch. The Blair Witch Project. I've not watched this. I remember watching bits of it as a kid and never really grasping it, not really getting it at the time. Watched it now as like 20, 30 years later, and I can really appreciate that movie. The found footage going into this, the story. They're doing this documentary. It's set up like it starts off with three filmmakers went in to film a documentary into Blair, the Blair Witch woods, and no one ever came out, and they found the cameras. This is the footage. I thought it was a really good story throughout. I enjoyed the tension, the atmosphere, what was built up of this witch. You don't see the witch, but you hear cackles, you hear screams. Things happen to these three characters, and then the conclusion for me really just let it down. I think it kind of like really built up, and then the last part of the movie, it was a good ending, a good conclusion away from a perfect movie for me. But that movie, the ending just didn't do anything. There was no conclusion for me, and I think the filmmakers have read online where they want to leave it open-ended and kind of like leave it up to the imagination a bit more. I understand that, but for me, it just didn't work. I don't know if you feel the same as me, but yeah, it wasn't a good ending for me. I couldn't get into it. Like I said, I can really appreciate it, but for me, it's a one and done now. I won't be revisiting this. Some movies I'll revisit and give a second chance. I don't feel like I'm going to get a second chance on this one. I feel like I'm one and done. It's not a movie I'd go out my way to see again, if I'm being honest. But yeah, Blair Witch, 28 Years Later, that's what's been on my screen recently over 31 Days of Horror, Halloween. Now let's move on to, well, that's it for the show. I was going to say let's move on. Thank you very much for joining me for this Halloween special episode 2025. Another year of the annual podcast Halloween special. It's been great. I've enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Are you a fan of this movie? What's your opinions? The cast, the visuals, the Blu-ray? Would you like to see a 4K? Let me know your thoughts on that movie. What are you watching over Halloween as well? Let me know what sort of movies. I think Halloween Night's the main one. You're watching movies during Halloween as preparation, but Halloween Night is the absolute main one to what you are watching. I can't wait. I've got Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, Lost Boys, Hocus Pocus. A few more. They're the main ones I want to definitely get in on Halloween Night for sure. But yeah, few different things. But yeah, let me know all your thoughts on today's topics, favourite covers, thoughts on the movie. Appreciate your opinions as always, folks. Thank you very much for joining me for this Halloween episode, ladies and gents. Remember to spread a bit of Halloween cheer. Ha ha ha! The elixir is wearing off. And as always, I will see you next time.